An adventurer's work is never truly over, for I looked into the abyss, and the abyss looked back. How far must we go before we find the unicorn fountain? Maybe some things are best left unfound. Hey there, friendos, Newbornkilik here, welcoming you back to the Legend of Zelda Mythbusters. Now today we're going to be taking a look at the legendary, the mythic Unicorn Fountain. For those of you that don't know, the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time was actually going to be a disk drive game. So the Nintendo 64 disk drive was kind of an experiment by Nintendo to help expand some of the games. It was basically like an expansion pack to my knowledge. It never really came through, unfortunately, just because you'd basically have to buy an entire another console to stick onto the bottom of your Nintendo 64, essentially expanding its lifespan. Eventually, the 64DD project was canned, along with a bit of an expansion for the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time called Zelda. I'm probably saying that incorrectly, but you know what I'm saying. You are a Zelda. That didn't clear up anything, now did it? But this is important because at some point when I was younger, pictures started to surface of this mythical unicorn fountain where you could find the triforce. These myths actually carried on all the way through Twilight Princess. There was speculation in Twilight Princess even that there was an area called the Unicorn Fountain where you could find the entire triforce. So how much of this is just all schoolyard banter and how much of it is true? Well, to know that, I guess we should take a peek at exactly where the Unicorn Fountain is supposedly located. There is some inconsistency with exactly where the Unicorn Fountain was located, but both sources point to Zora's domain. The idea is essentially that if you could get under the ice in Zora's domain, then you would have access to the Unicorn Fountain, either underneath the waterfall, or the one that I heard when I was younger, and I still kind of subscribe to because there's a little area there, which we'll get to that in just a second. But the idea that I subscribed to was that it was supposed to be in a little walkway under the island in the middle of Zora's domain. This little island here, to be specific. However, if we come down here, so no matter how hard we try, we just can't dive deep enough. This would imply that we do in fact need the iron boots and the blue tunic to gain access to this area. And it makes sense. The Unicorn Fountain was supposed to house the Triforce, and was actually the area where Link was supposed to get the sword beam attack. Now, as we all know, that was cut from the game eventually. There's no sword beam attack in the game, or Triforce, for that matter. Technically there is, but it was what was inside of us all along. And for those of you that don't know, if you actually play the Song of Storms here, there is a secret grotto that you can open up. I used to come here looking for it with the hammer, but as it turns out, you just need the Song of Storms. And this is actually kind of the area where I believe a lot of the confusion came from, was that there is a fairy fountain here. I actually thought, when I was younger, of course, in my misinformed youth, you would somehow open up this hole here and it would lead you to the Unicorn Fountain. As we can see, it's just a standard, boring, lame fairy fountain, but hey, they're trying their best, alright, calm down. So that's just kind of my childhood ignorance coming to the forefront, but it is rather nice actually knowing that that does exist, and if you happen to find yourself here, hey, now you know too. So stepping into the myth-busting portion of all of this, I suppose we should check the bottom of the waterfall to see if there's anything there either, and I mean, honestly, not really. We can't see anything, there's nothing specifically working towards us. There was some speculation that you needed the Lens of Truth, which I don't believe is an item that you can even use in the water, so that's basically out already. But we do have a couple of options and ideas. If there was a loading zone here, we would be able to access it through the use of codes. So, bear in mind, all of this is basically supposed to be underwater. We're not supposed to be able to access this, but if we do a little bit of zooming around, I'm gonna make a quick save here, somewhere in here. Theoretically, if this did exist, and of course we're checking in, the childhood timeline, and there should be some ground to stand on here. However, my speculation is that it's all just going to be water. Alright, just the void, nothing special there. Now bear in mind, I am using the debug ROM. If it's gonna be in a ROM, it's gonna be in this one. We're looking specifically for spots that we can maybe find a loading zone to or something. I was actually kind of interested to see what might happen because this is the debug ROM. Files may be left over, you never know, but that was very concerning. I did not care for that one bit, young man. Please do not do that again. But as we can see, there does not seem to be any kind of loading zone anywhere here. Bro, I ain't playing your game. Leave me alone. Why did you just pay me rupees? Joke's on you. I ain't diving nowhere you want me to go. I've never actually seen this animation. This cracks me up. I love this. So this begs the other question. What is in that little nook down there? Well, my speculation is nothing. But you never know. Now, most likely we're not going to find anything down here because, I mean, as we had said before, you are supposedly supposed to be able to find this unicorn fountain under the ice as an adult. Basically meaning there shouldn't be anything here, but if there were any actors left over, well, we're going to find them. I'm not seeing anything here. Nothing special's happening. Other than, you know, looking down Link's throat hole, which is very, very concerning. We're actually about to drown. You know what, let's just see what happens. I'll see you in a minute 20. You know, I don't actually think I've ever drowned in general, let alone without the iron boots. I don't think there's many places in the game where you could do this, so kind of a little Mythbusters on its own. What happens when you drown due to stupidity? Well, we're about to answer that dang question in 47 seconds. He just straight up dead. Game over, not even void out, lose a heart. That means falling into lava is less lethal than drowning. Can we talk about these sounds though? Okay, so surprise, surprise, absolutely nothing happened. What were we anticipating? I mean, after all, it basically states right out that we are meant to find this area as an adult. I wanted to go ahead and exhaust these options as well and just kind of get a feel for the area. So of course, using the handy dandy debug menu to come into this exact same area as an adult, we're gonna go ahead and see exactly what is happening in here. So we cannot move forward without exhausting all of our options, which means basically we're gonna have to open up this fairy fountain again just to make sure and see exactly what's going on here. I have pretty low hopes for it, but you never know. I think it would be a neat little Easter egg if this was actually frozen over. Like, maybe the hole would open up, but you wouldn't be able to get any of the fairies because they're all frozen. Just a little bit of a tidbit I think would be rather interesting. Fairy smash! And also, for the sake of testing, I'm going to go ahead and keep the lens of truth, you know, handy, so just in case we actually do need it for any one reason or another, we do have it. Moment of truth, let's see exactly what's going on here. We're gonna get ourselves under the ice here, quickly switch over to the iron boots, and then we're good to stomp around down here just as long as our heart's desire. So I believe this is the area that they actually stated that this should be able to take place. Now, of course, in the original game, as a child, you can come here and find yourselves just a simple piece of heart, but what about the lens of truth? Doesn't seem to be doing anything. And again, we're going to use our super amazing debug powers to try and clip all around this wall here. Oh, there's actually some collision here. This is interesting. This wall would get out of the damn way. That's fun. I like this. You know, I mean, you'd never come out here and see this before, but let's just explore, just see what's going on. Most likely nothing. Let's be realistic here, but we got a bit of the fun time, so we may as well check it out and see what's on the boundary here. If anything, I am a little bit curious to see. Okay, that put me back in bounds. I don't want to be inbound. Interestingly enough, there's actually some water here we can interact with as well. All right, so we're back here. I actually got taken out just like that. Nice. I'm guessing this is probably going to take us back onto the land. Oh, it's not. Interesting. So then can we... So we're actually behind the shop right now, so just as a proof of concept here, I'm going to show you something. So we're in the debug mode right now, and if we deactivate it, we actually activate the shop loading zone. Using this, we can actually get back behind the Zora. Alright, so this actually only leaves one more place to test out, and that is the bottom area here. So let's go ahead and get under the ice. No problem. Again, my hopes for this are dashingly low. I will let the gameplay do the talking for itself. As we can see here, unfortunately there's really nothing. I do still want to try and clip behind this wall, of course, but, you know, I think it's basically shot at this point. So if there is an activator here, we will hit it. Which we did not, but I'm kind of curious what happens if we just keep going down, so let's see. I'm actually going to make myself so I can breathe underwater, that'd be great. So I guess while we're sitting here slowly drifting downward into the void, we could discuss some of the problems that actually come up with the unicorn fountain being at Zora's domain. First off, why? Why would it just be here? This was supposed to be an area that had the triforce in it. Why would the Zoras just have the triforce? I mean, that basically validates most of the things you would do inside of the Temple of Time. Not to mention, from a lore perspective, that would be an insane shift in power if the Zora were just trusted with that by the goddesses. Think of it this way. The Hellions are the ones that have Zelda, basically the messenger of the goddesses, and, kind of like the blood of the goddesses themselves. So why in the world would the Zora have the triforce? Well, to be honest, it just doesn't make any goddamn sense. And with that, I think we're basically done here. This myth is essentially busted. There's no unicorn fountain anywhere to be found in The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. With that said, there are fan recreations that you can check out, and honestly, I would really recommend it. They're really, really cool looking and really accurate to the original, and some of them are actually semi-functional. Admittedly, most of those are just, proof of concepts or, little areas that don't really seem to matter that much, but it's still interesting to look at what it might look like were it actually included in The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. It does help me out an awful lot, and hey, I really appreciate you. If you enjoy this kind of content, please don't hesitate to